Hello everyone, my name is Blue and we are back with more malicious compliance stories. Stories where following the rules is the best way to make a point. If you haven't yet, please consider subscribing to our channel, and with that, let's get into it. Shut up and let you sell? Well, okay then. I work in a high-tech industry providing network security products to the Fortune 100. Think of Apple, Facebook, Salesforce, etc. My job is as a sales engineer, which is to work with the direct sales rep and make sure that the solution presented is correct, solves the problem, and fits the customer's business needs. The job of the sales rep is to manage the relationship and to guide the sale through the qualification to purchase process. It's not their job to be the engineer on the account. That's my job. The two of us go into the account together and work face-to-face with the customer teams. Often, this begins at the C level, like Chief Technology Officer, and then works its way down to the department teams: security team, network team, IT team, procurement, legal, etc. I have been doing this job for a long time, and I'm good at it. I get glowing reviews from my customers because I work really hard to make sure I understand their issues and to make sure that the technology fits their need. At a prior company, who shall remain nameless, I worked with a handful of really recognizable accounts that I won't name here. I had been at the company for over 4 years, and I was very successful at it. A new sales rep was brought in with the expectation that he would begin with smaller accounts in order to learn the products and get his feet wet with relatively low-risk customers. In the matter of a few months, he went through 2 of my peers who didn't want to work with him anymore. He was making sales, but they weren't happy with him and requested to be moved to a different rep. Normally, I would not work on smaller accounts since I was a senior person in my role, but my boss asked me to work with the guy and see if I couldn't find the problem. Normally, the way a sales call worked is that the rep, we'll call him Mr. Arrogant, would open the meeting, introduce people, propose an agenda for the meeting, provide marketing material if appropriate, and then introduce me so that I could ask the customer about their needs and goals. And then I'd begin to work with them through a technical presentation. That was the way it was supposed to work for all the reps. The really experienced guys could do most of a technical presentation, but anytime the client got down to the nitty-gritty details, they would always turn it over to the engineer. It's the entire reason that we went on the sales calls, to keep the rep out of trouble. It was never the job of the salesperson to do the technical portion of the sale. Never. So, Mr. Arrogant and I go off to our first sales call together. As we ride over in his car, we talk about the customer, the kind of business they're in, and possibly what products they might need. This is all pure speculation. We don't know the customer's problem yet, let alone their network or environment. I volunteer that I've worked with this customer in the past and I am comfortable with their environment, but it might have changed. As we're riding in the car, he says to me, "Okay, DevMel, I know all I need now. When we go in, let me do all the talking." He's been with the company for a month or 2. I tell him gently that this is a bad idea and he should do his job and I'll do mine. He's having absolutely none of that. Mr. Arrogant tells me in completely clear terms that this account is his account, not mine, and he will not let me in the room unless I let him sell. He knows more than I do, and I should sit back and learn from him. I try, gently, several times, to get him to let me do my job, Absolutely not. So I text my manager while we're sitting in the customer lobby with the description of the situation. My manager texts back something to the effect of, "Mr. Arrogant believes he can do your job? Let him try." So cut to the meeting. Mr. Customer has the head of security, the head of network, and the head of IT all in the conference room. Mr. Arrogant begins his marketing pitch. He doesn't ask any questions. He pivots over into his product pitch, telling them that they need really expensive product 1 and really expensive product 2. Oh, and they need a 3-year support plan and a bunch of custom coding to make it all work. The room is completely silent when he finishes. After a long moment, the Chief Technical Officer turns to me and says something like, "So, DevMail, you agree with this?" Mr. Arrogant leaps in and says, "Of course he does." I stare at the CTO silently. The CTO says, "I'd like to hear what DevMail has to say. If you like Mr. Arrogant, you can wait outside." Mr. Arrogant shuts up. I say, "Actually, Mr. CTO, I have no idea if your environment has changed, what your technology looks like now, or anything. But I guarantee you that you absolutely do not need product 1 and 2. You might need product 3 or 4, but I need to learn a lot more about your current situation." Mr. CTO turns to Mr. Arrogant. "Yeah, why don't you wait in the lobby? I don't think you're the right person to handle our account. I'll reach out to your management team this afternoon and see if someone else might be available." Mr. Arrogant sputters and then leaves in a huff. Needless to say, I needed a lift back to the office when the meeting ended. But no one ever had to work with Mr. Arrogant ever again, as far as I know. His desk was empty the very next week. Seems like Mr. Hotshot here shot himself in the foot before he even had a chance to put it in his mouth. Tale as old as time. Yeah, so this is obviously in America. A comment from another post here made me realize I had a story. During the Great Recession, I graduated from college. I had a good GPA and work experience, but couldn't get a degree-appropriate job. No one could. So I worked in a job that I was overqualified for. Job was full-time, but no insurance. Also, I live in an at-will state, so your employer can fire you for whatever they want, whenever they want. Since I worked there 5 years, a few times I'd be sick. But the job had no sick leave, so you could be fired for taking time off work to be sick. I got some kind of stomach infection, throwing up on the regular, cold sweats, etc. Called into work, and they said be there or don't bother coming in again. They needed me because the place was constantly understaffed. Also, couldn't go to the doctor because I didn't have insurance and couldn't afford paying up front. Could run me anywhere from $200 to $700. So I went in and worked. I would puke/have diarrhea in the bathroom or puke in the trash can if I couldn't make it in time. I could get sick in one of 2 bathrooms, management's bathroom or the customer bathroom. Cue malicious compliance. You know where this is going. While I had no interest in getting anyone else sick, I did not feel all right about puking a bunch in the customer's bathroom. I could get a bunch of innocent people sick because of America's sad Industrial Revolution-style workers' rights. So I spent a lot of time walking past management and loudly puking and having diarrhea in the bathroom right next to their office, including once while they were having lunch, which I could tell was not something they liked. They couldn't really say anything because they knew they told me to be there, and they wanted me working, which I was. I made it through the day and got over it over the next 2 days. But in that time, still more, although much less frequent, puking in their bathroom. 2 days later, I come into the shop and there's no management there. 4 people. I got a call a few minutes before opening from my boss. He sounded awful. He told me I was going to manage the shop today, do orders, regular management stuff. Halfway through the call, I heard some muffled sound and then a toilet flushing. Dude was puking while on the phone. After, he just spat out, "Take care of it!" and hung up. They got sick time, of course, and I'm sure went to the doctor. But everyone in the shop was like, "Heck yeah!" when they found out those a-holes totally reaped what they sowed. Had a great time managing too. Gave people breaks. They don't have to give you breaks in my state. Took it easy on the constant micromanaging, etc. Shop did a great day in sales too. When are bosses like that ever going to learn? You don't keep people who are sick at home for their benefit. You do it for everyone else in the office's benefit. It only takes one sick person to make everyone sick. And that's all the time we have for these malicious compliance stories today. Was there something about these stories that resonated with you? Let us know in the comments down below, and if you like the stories, please make sure to click like. If you haven't yet, please consider subscribing to our channel. Thanks for listening. Catch you later, everyone.